It is 2 o'clock in the morning. Your body is exhausted, your eyes are heavy, and you are on the verge of drifting into a deep sleep. But just as your consciousness slips away, an unwanted image flashes across your mind. It is a memory from years ago, the moment you confidently waved back at a stranger, only to realize they were waving to someone else. Or the time you froze during a presentation, your mind turning blank while dozens of eyes stared in silence. In an instant, a sudden wave of heat rushes to your chest. You are safe in bed, yet your mind treats a harmless social mistake like an act of emergency. Why does an organ designed for your survival turn against you when you are most vulnerable? Why do we forget yesterday's tasks, but perfectly recall a minor slip from 5 years ago? You are trapped in an ancient biological loop, and once you understand its mechanics, the projector finally turns off. To understand why these moments remain so vivid, we must look at the physical machinery of the brain. When you experience a routine event, your brain processes the information calmly. This everyday cataloging is managed by the hippocampus, which acts like a quiet librarian, storing useful experiences and discarding irrelevant details. But when an event is wrapped in intense emotion, such as shame or embarrassment, the system changes instantly. Your amygdala, the brain's emotional hazard system, sounds the alarm. It floods your body with stress hormones, signaling that this moment is critical to your survival. This chemical surge triggers an accelerated state of memory consolidation. The amygdala essentially stamps the event deep into your neural pathways with permanent ink. The brain does this because, from an evolutionary standpoint, any emotional threat is classified as dangerous. The emotional intensity of embarrassment strengthens the memory, making it far more likely to stay with us for years. While biology explains how these memories are stored, psychology explains why we carry their weight. This burden is driven by a cognitive bias known as the spotlight effect. First co-investigated by psychologist Thomas Gilovich, the spotlight effect is our natural tendency to overestimate how much others notice our actions and mistakes. Because we are the center of our own universe, we assume everyone else is watching us with equal intensity. To test this, Gilovich forced students to wear an embarrassing t-shirt before entering a crowded room. While the wearers were convinced at least half the room noticed their shirt, interviews revealed that fewer than 20% had actually registered it. People simply do not think about us as much as we assume. The moments keeping you awake at night are almost entirely forgotten by those who witnessed them. We are all too occupied managing our own internal spotlights to keep anyone else in the glare. If our mistakes are so quickly forgotten, why does the brain react with such terror? The answer lies in our evolutionary past and a phenomenon called the negativity bias. Throughout history, humans survived in tight-knit tribes. In those environments, belonging to a group was a requirement for survival. In many ancestral environments, being cast out of the group could dramatically reduce a person's chances of survival. Because the stakes were high, we developed an acute sensitivity to social errors. Shame and embarrassment evolved as vital psychological pain signals, warning us to correct our behavior before we were excluded. This is why your brain naturally prioritizes a single awkward glance over 100 compliments. Your brain doesn't realize that waving at the wrong person won't get you expelled from modern society, it simply reacts with the primitive, terrifying fear of abandonment. When these ancient survival alarms fire, they often trigger a highly destructive mental pattern known as rumination. In clinical psychology, rumination is the passive replaying of distress without searching for a solution. While healthy reflection is active and seeks lessons, rumination is a closed loop. When you ruminate on an embarrassing moment, you are not learning anything new. You are simply re-traumatizing your nervous system, keeping your stress levels high and strengthening the neural pathways that hold the memory. This creates an exhausting cycle. The more you ruminate, the more anxious you become in your current life. This elevated anxiety makes you highly self-conscious, increasing the likelihood of making another social mistake. You are left burning precious cognitive fuel to fight imaginary battles. It is no coincidence that these memories strike the moment you lie down to sleep. Throughout the day, your mind is occupied by external tasks, answering emails, driving, or talking. This outward focus keeps your brain busy, leaving no room for internal self-reflection. But when you lie in a dark room, those distractions vanish. Instantly, a network of brain regions known as the default mode network, or DMN, automatically turns on. This network activates whenever you are not engaged in a goal-directed task, acting as your brain's background screensaver. The default mode network becomes more active, encouraging self-reflection, memory retrieval, and internal thought. The default mode network becomes more active, encouraging self-reflection, memory retrieval, and internal thought. Without an external task to anchor your attention, your mind naturally drifts toward unresolved experiences and social concerns, often pulling your oldest and most painful social memories right to the surface. Fortunately, you can systematically dismantle these loops using proven psychological techniques. The first tool is self-distancing. When we replay a painful memory, we usually view it from our own eyes, feeling the raw emotion. By shifting your perspective to that of a neutral, third-person observer, you create a healthy psychological buffer that dampens the emotional distress. Next, utilize cognitive reframing. Challenge your internal critic by asking, if a close friend made this exact mistake, would you judge them or offer them warmth? Practicing self-compassion, a concept explored by researcher Kristen Neff, gradually softens the shame holding the memory together. Mindfulness offers another powerful solution. Instead of fighting embarrassing thoughts or trying to suppress them, mindfulness teaches you to simply observe them without judgment. As you stop resisting the memory, its emotional grip gradually begins to fade. Finally, use the power of journaling. Writing down the details of a repetitive thought forces your brain to organize it into a linear narrative. Once the story is structured on paper, your mind can finally archive it as a completed chapter. Your brain is not an enemy trying to punish you. It is simply a deeply exhausted survival system trying its best to keep you safe in a world it doesn't fully understand. Every late-night cringe is just your mind's clumsy way of trying to keep you connected and loved. When you realize your anxiety is just misplaced protection, the fight disappears. You can look at your past self with forgiveness and gently lay the old memories to sleep. Growth happens not when you live a life free of mistakes, but when you stop punishing yourself for being human. The next time the midnight theater begins, take a deep breath, smile at the ancient machinery inside your skull, and remember that the spotlight only shines in your own mind. Protect your attention. Because where your attention goes, your life quietly follows. If this documentary gave you a new perspective on your own mind, subscribe to Psychology Decoded for more deep dives into psychology, neuroscience, and human behavior. Every week, we uncover the hidden patterns that shape the way we think, feel, and act. Until next time, stay curious and keep decoding the mind.